To help us understand impacts to our housing sector, I cede the platform to Patrice Griffin, who operates our community's continuum of care.
Greetings, everyone. Let me set the stage for how major cuts to federal housing funds would impact and be catastrophic for all of us. Not just people experiencing homelessness, not just those of us in the field, not just the families that can't afford to make rent or mortgage, all of us. Why? Because housing is not a standalone concern. Safe, affordable, stable housing is firmly linked to the health and safety and well-being of our entire community. That means our local economy, our cultural health, our educational success, our public safety, our physical, emotional health, our collective ability to serve the people who call Kalamazoo County home. Sociologist Matthew Damon put it best when he said, "Housing is absolutely essential to human flourishing. Without stable shelter, it all falls apart." Even without the cuts, the demand for housing support already outpaces the resources available. If federal funding is reduced, there will be immediate direct impacts on real people and meaningful programs in Kalamazoo County. 7,324 residents could lose federal rental assistance they need to avoid homelessness. This includes programs such as the Housing Choice Vouchers and housing supports for specifically older adults and disabled people. The continuum of care would lose vital resources that fund permanent supportive housing, transitional housing, street outreach, and emergency shelter. Local agencies that depend on those resources would lose their ability to drive targeted programs like eviction diversion, housing rehabilitation, lead paint remediation, and much more. Those partners include Housing Resources, Inc., Out Front, Integrated Services of Kalamazoo, and Catholic Charities Diocese of Kalamazoo, to name a few. As we all know, a lot of uncertainty exists. The possible loss of this critical funding paints a bleak picture. We need our federal leaders to preserve these funds. At minimum, we need more. In the meantime, the continuum of care will continue to focus on our mission of supporting our partners, creating equitable access to stable, safe, and affordable housing, and help our community flourish. I will now pass it on to Jennifer Johnson, Executive Director of Loaves and Fishes.
Thank you, Patrice. Kalamazoo Loaves and Fishes provides grocery assistance to over 850 individuals a day who are struggling with food insecurity throughout Kalamazoo County. Due to the lasting impacts and of pandemic and historical inflation, food security has been at an all-time high. Demand for our services has increased 56% since 2022. We anticipate further increases in the demand due to the impact of recent cuts, executive orders, and trade policies, which will impact unemployment, federally funded programs, and the price of goods and services used in daily life. For 43 years, our hunger relief programs have been based on self-declaration of need, which is critical for those who earn too much to qualify for federal food assistance programs, but do not earn enough to meet the cost of basic needs. Funding cuts to other programs, including the Supplemental Nutrition Assistance Program, or SNAP, and school nutrition programs, would significantly increase food security in our community. Other nonprofit organizations who will have food as a component of their service will be struggling and reaching out to Loaves and Fishes for help. Kalamazoo Loaves and Fishes provides food through 95 locations throughout Kalamazoo County, including 40 school buildings and 16 housing facilities geared toward those 60 and older. We also provide food to 20 organizations who operate internal food pantries and congregate meal programs. Examples include WMU's Montgomery Essential Needs Program and the YWCA's Domestic Assault Shelter. Through all of our programs, nearly 40,000 unduplicated individuals received food assistance from our organization last year. It takes a lot of resources to support that many organizations. We receive our food through community donations, several USDA food programs. After that, we purchase between 30 and 60% of the food we distribute, depending on what we receive from the USDA. In March, we were informed that one of the USDA streams of funding was canceled, resulting in a loss of 17 trucks of food expected over the next 6 months. The estimated value of these truckloads is over $350,000. While we will still be receiving food through the USDA, the amount that has been cut nearly in half, leaving us to purchase the items that are needed. Another federal program called the Local Food Purchase Assistance Agreement has also been canceled. This program provided support to purchase from local farmers in order to direct their harvest to charitable food organizations and schools. This decision will not only reduce the food supply to KLF and KBCC's Valley Hub, but will also be a tremendous loss to local farmers. The incredible collaborations that exist in this community cannot exist alone. All levels of the food safety net, local, state, and federal efforts must continue in order to make food accessible to community members. We must halt further cuts to food nutrition programs and expand ways for community members to have necessary resources so that they may lead a healthy, active life. The time to act is now. After all, food is a basic human right. Now let me introduce Susan Reed, Director at the Michigan Immigration Rights Center.
Thank you. Thank you all for being here. Thank you to the YWCA for convening us at this critical moment. Again, my name is Susan Reed, and I'm the director of the Michigan Immigrant Rights Center. I have represented unaccompanied children and other vulnerable people in the immigration system for more than 20 years. Our now terminated federal source contracts formerly supported 3 statewide access to justice programs that served thousands of people here in Southwest Michigan. The first, the Immigration Court Help Desk, so that people who could not afford lawyers could at least begin to understand, ask questions, and complete required forms at the Detroit Immigration Court in their life and death legal proceedings. Terminated. The National Qualified Representative Program, so that mentally ill and legally incompetent people held by ICE in contracted county jails like the Calhoun County Jail could simply have a lawyer. Terminated. If you are mentally ill and you are detained by ICE, you will no longer have a lawyer in any scenario. And finally, the Unaccompanied Children's Program, so that literal toddlers and other children didn't have to, and I quote, represent themselves in immigration court. Now, I'm a lawyer and I'm a mom, but you don't have to be a lawyer and you don't have to be a mom to understand that kids can't represent themselves in court. We have lost more than $1 million per month in statewide resources, laid off 72 skilled and dedicated staff statewide, and faced the loss of up to 25 positions in Kalamazoo. Paired with the unprecedented aggressive ICE and Border Patrol actions that we are seeing and that the courts are finding to be illegal, the most vulnerable people in this system, in our community, are losing their only advocates at the worst possible time. And it's not a coincidence, it's by design. The consequences of these contract terminations and so many other policies will change our clients' lives and will affect the security and stability of their families for generations. I thank you for your time and your attention and for your concern about people who you are being invited not to care about, not to be concerned about. They're people who are your neighbors. They're even people who you know. And with that, I will hand the mic to Susan Rosas, CEO of YWCA Kalamazoo.
For 140 years, YWCA Kalamazoo has provided an array of services for the community, including early childhood education, maternal and child health, and community organizing efforts. We are also Kalamazoo service providers for survivors of intimate partner violence, sexual violence, stalking, and human trafficking. Like most victim service providers nationally, the vast majority of our victim service programming is funded through federally derived money. Yes, we have already seen federal funding interruption. Yes, we expect to see more. Yes, it could interrupt programs here locally, and yes, we need this community behind survivors now. We have heard today about the plight of immigrant community members, rising food insecurity, and rising housing instability. The nonprofits who operate these programs are comprised of people who are losing their jobs now. Already, Kalamazoo has seen an increase in its unemployment from 4.7 to 5.0 since inauguration. With the loss of social sector jobs, this will only increase. As support services that help keep people employed close down, including child care centers, unemployment will continue to climb. Just as funding for survivors is slashed across the country, we know that violence will increase. Surveys conducted with survivors in YWCA programs revealed that following the inauguration on January 20th, 88% of survivors reported an increase in violence from their perpetrator. 100% believe that gender-based violence is now more publicly accepted than it was before January 20th. Our community violence crisis calls spiked and are sustaining now at 50% higher than they were at this time last year. Increased housing instability and food insecurity are social determinants of health demonstrated to increase community violence, which we will see here. Community violence also rises with increased community unemployment rates, again, which we will see here. No one is exempt. This is not an abstract harm hurting someone else. These shifts will impact all of us. Kalamazoo is not unique in the funding slashes that we have seen from the government, but we can be unique in our collective action to protect this community. Steps that you can take. Support your local nonprofits. This is not a wait-and-see moment. If you have the means to give now. If you have the ability to volunteer, volunteer now. Attend nonprofit events in solidarity. Show your support. The sector is struggling. Another thing you can do is contact your representatives, both state and federal, and let them know what matters to you. Do you want to see the funding cuts stop? Tell them that. Do you want to see food security prioritized? Tell them that. Right now, elected leaders are not only making decisions that impact our neighbors' health and safety through legislation, regulation changes, and executive orders, but they are crafting budgets that will impact this community's capacity to serve our neighbors. Our legislators need to hear from their constituents. Another thing you can do is join our community solidarity sessions to stay connected, informed about emerging local challenges, get behind collective calls to action, and be a part of crafting this community's plan to protect one another from the harm to come. The next session is May 5th from 2 to 5 at the Western Michigan Student Center, and you can register to attend at ywcakalamazoo.org. Another thing you can do is watch our social service collective's new website, solidaritydata.org, live today, to stay informed about continuing funding cuts, job losses, and program closures. You can track legislation anticipated to impact Kalamazoo. You can also see our collective's priorities: basic needs, nonprofit capacity, food security, anti-violence, workforce stabilization, housing, early childhood, and legal services for immigrant community members. Again, that website is solidaritydata.org. If you are experiencing violence, or if someone you love is experiencing violence,